Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom podcast. Today, we continue our comic book movie journey through film with X-Men Days of Future Past. It was released on May 23rd, 2014, with a story by Jane Goldman and Matthew Vaughn, a screenplay by Simon Kinberg, and directed by Bryan Singer, a man who we will not be bringing up again for the rest of the episode. Fuck that guy. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you, especially today, man.
Mm-hmm.
Especially today.
Ah,
I love this movie.
did,
I love it.
yeah.
I
Was
love it.
not expecting an absolute banger, here. I guess, I don't know. I thought that First Class would be the X-Men movie that I looked back on as, like, my favorite after my first watch being, I don't know, I thought it was just the coolest to me for whatever reason. I liked Apocalypse, but I knew it wasn't as good as as well made as the rest of them, sort of thing. But those are the ones that kind of stood out to me, was First Class and Apocalypse, just for all the crazy shit that happens in Apocalypse.
Yeah.
I don't know why this one skipped my memory, or that I didn't remember this one as just the movie it is. Because currently it's the king of all the X-Men movies for me, pretty
Yeah, me too.
easily.
Me too. And
Actually.
coming into this project, I would have hesitated to tell you that any of the post Last Stand, anything outside of the original X-Men trilogy was being my top X-Men movie. I would have said X2. Would have been very confident X2. And now that, and I remember the next few vividly. I'm confident X2 will remain third, behind Days of Future Past and First Class.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly did not see that coming.
Yeah.
I love this movie, and I have for 10 years now, which is bizarre to think about. I remember that I talked about it with Wolverine a couple weeks ago. Like it was the movie that, you could have gone and saw for the 8th grade field trip. I was wrong. That was not the one. It was this. It was this
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the year, May 2014. It's right there, right at the end of the year. And I'll never forget just kind of hating that theater experience because it's a bunch of people who are excited to be done with school, and
Mm-hmm.
we're at a movie theater with a bunch of 13 and 14-year-olds, and it fucking sucks. But I still loved the movie, though.
Yeah.
I still loved the movie, and when I got a chance to watch it again later on, I realized just how much I loved the movie because I grew up on the X-Men movies, man. I did. I grew up on them hard,
Yeah.
and this
This one's
is
kind of a
my
huge moment. Like,
this is my ending.
yeah. Ah.
Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, Logan. I like all those movies, all for different reasons and all to varying degrees of how much I like them.
Mm-hmm.
They're their own self-contained stories. They don't fucking there's nothing, they don't actually affect anything that happened in the franchise prior.
Okay.
Nothing, doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
This ending, as far as when you look at, and we're also going to exclude Origins Wolverine, X-Men, X2, The Last Stand, The Wolverine, First Class, and
Yep.
this. That 6-movie run, this is a perfect fucking ending to
There's
those
not
movies.
much more you could ask for. Yeah, I mean, it's everything you could want in the end. Like
It
it,
absolutely.
Logan, he wakes up and it's just everything is perfect. He doesn't remember, but he does remember more than everyone else, technically.
Mhm.
But, doesn't know where
He
he
doesn't
is
remember
at
the last
first.
50
And yeah,
years, yeah.
I would agree. The way this ended, I mean, it wrapped everything in a perfect little bow. And this has the old Magneto and Professor X, the young Magneto and Professor X.
Mm.
You get both, um, just group of actors. You don't get every single person from every single movie. But mention of them is thrown in. Like this is kind of the end game.
You end up getting
Um,
appearances from most of them,
yeah,
though.
yeah. This is kind of
Um,
like the end game or No Way Home, for
mhm.
the X-Men,
Yeah,
and
for the Foxman franchise,
yeah,
and I didn't appreciate it as such in 2014 necessarily. I just thought it was a cool fucking movie. I was like, "Oh shit." dope. But I hadn't really considered it that way until last night, my favorite scene is the end. I love it. It was what
Mm.
launched this movie into the stratosphere that I have it in my ranking because up to that point I was like, already, this is top 6, 7. And then Logan wakes up and walks out that hall, and I just
Yep.
I just started fucking sobbing, bro. I fucking loved it. And then he sees Jean and that shot of her standing in the doorway, and especially fresh off the Wolverine and thinking about the struggle he was facing in that one where, Jean talking
Hmm.
to him like, come to me. You've always said that you wanted to be with me. Like
Yeah,
wanted to
seeing
be dead.
seeing everybody was kind of normal, somewhat. Like he was like, "Oh, Storm," he didn't know Storm just died right
Yeah.
outside. He has no idea. Um,
It's like,
but it's like okay, like we weren't
but they
any,
haven't been
everyone's
like the mansion at all.
that's true. Seeing everyone
He hasn't
there,
been there in a
yeah,
while. Like
true.
it's
Okay, that's also
so
fair.
being there and
Yeah.
seeing all of them there and the kids and the
Mm,
students and all that coming to fruition for him and him kind of because I love the send off he gets in Logan. I do. I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful way to conclude the character. I also like to think that it's a different version of it's just a story with this character with Xavier with
mm-hmm.
because I also don't like that in that movie they pose that Xavier killed all the people at the end of this movie anyway. He had one of his little mind quakes and kills everybody in between this movie and Logan.
Oh,
Um
okay. Yeah, I forgot a lot of what happens in Logan.
Yeah. So, I've never loved that. I get it, and it makes a good story,
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
like to think of that as part of this canon, though. I like to think of it as its own story,
Mm-hmm.
which is also why I don't mind him coming back in Deadpool 3. I'm able to compartmentalize shit like that. I understand how a lot of people aren't. I get any criticisms for being like, "Why would he come back after Logan? It doesn't make any sense,"
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. They're different stories. I don't even like to look at Logan as the actual conclusion of this Wolverine. I like to look at him as a send off story for just a Wolverine story. That's just kind of how X-Men comic
Mm-hmm.
books work anyway. So it's
Yeah.
never really bothered me to think of it that way. I like to think of this as the end. We all live happily ever after. Everything's okay. Whenever
Mm-hmm.
he walks through that door and Xavier's like, "Logan, you have a class to teach." And he's like, "A class to teach."
Excuse me. Yeah.
Very different life Logan has led in this reality as well, he's a teacher now, and
Makes sense
and
too.
he's like,
Perfect
"What do I
fit.
teach?"
Yeah.
"History." He's like, "Oh, well, I'm
Actually.
gonna need a little help with that."
Yeah. Please remind me what
And
happens. Um.
dude, Patrick Stewart's delivery of "Welcome back." I fucking love it. I fucking love it.
Mm-hmm.
So, my positivity for this movie hopefully is infectious. I enjoy this movie a great deal, and I
Yeah.
will continue to just ogle at it pretty much every step of the
No,
way
I
through this episode.
I agree. I agree with this ending. It can't really get much better than this. And like, there is on the one hand, it's like, okay, then all of the events that we've watched them go through didn't happen now. Like obviously the last stand
Hmm,
did not happen.
did not happen.
Yeah, that did not happen. But whatever has happened has been very good. It seems, they probably still have been through some stuff.
Mhm.
They're X-Men. They do their
This is
thing.
yeah,
But
this is one of those examples where retconning it so everything didn't happen actually works for me.
yeah.
Because shit was fucking sad. That was
Mhm.
not a happy existence.
Nope.
And frankly, Logan remembers those events. Those events did happen. It's not like those things
Yeah.
didn't ever
Okay.
happen. The
True.
memory lives on through a character. One of these characters did experience all of these
And I
things.
guess Xavier knows too because he looked into Logan's mind. So
Yeah.
them two are the only ones who actually know
Yeah,
everything
I would
sort of
expect that
thing.
Xavier doesn't know the full extent of everything, but he knows whenever the moment whenever it's it was close to my favorite scene whenever
He
uh
talks to himself.
he talks to himself. But
It's
right
up there
before
for
that,
mine.
when
Oh,
Logan's
okay.
like, look into my mind,
Yeah.
look in there. There's somebody who might be able to help you. Go. And then he gets there and he's like,
Oh
you
God. He's
you poor,
yeah.
poor man.
He's like,
Um,
oh my God, no! Like this is what I was trying to avoid the whole time. This is why
and
I'm
ultimately,
a
like,
I'm a junkie now, and he's like, no, look past that, look
mhm,
look at your future, look for you. And then it was like just instant. He was like, oh, I can actually
mhm,
talk to me right now. I can go through you to time travel and actually be there, which is
mhm.
why I thought that like he actually learned everything. Like cuz he's
Oh, I
actually
suppose he
kind of
could
present
speed
through
run
there.
through everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
sort of
see what you
thing.
mean. I see
And
what you
like,
mean.
we don't see him learn everything and go through a big realization and everything, but I think it's, it could just be implied that he like sensed that they had this sort
It
of
could, and
thing.
it could also certainly inform his journey forward. The implication that none of the bad shit ever did happen might be helpful to know that Xavier never did anything that would lead them down that
Yeah.
path. I
Yeah,
like
and
that. I like that
maybe
concept.
he saw Logan have to kill Jean, seeing how much trauma that caused him. He's like, maybe we try our best to not go down that road again. Maybe
Mhm.
he's like, maybe I'll do something. I don't know. But it's kind of a perfect MCU tie-in. If this is the ending and everyone is just a teacher at the mansion, could be like a perfect way to be like, yeah, this is why they haven't really been around. They're just teachers. They've been
Right.
professors the whole time, and they haven't been needed like out in the world. And that's,
Yeah.
maybe because what year is it? Like, is it just present like 2013?
I'm guessing it's
Sort of thing.
2014 is what year he wakes up.
Okay,
Um, he does say
so
the last 50 years, give or take. Um,
mhm.
and judging by where they were in the past, it would only be 40 if it was, 2014. So, I mean, like, if it is 50 and they're waking up in 2024, that could be even more perfect. They could utilize that as, part of the retcon if they ever wanted
Yeah,
to.
and I guess a confusing thing that I was like, why would he? What happened today in order for Logan to wake up and remember everything,
Yeah,
sort
what
of
day
thing.
is it that he wakes up? Yeah.
Because he drowns, gets taken by Stryker, but it's Mystique.
Yes.
So is he just taken
A different
directly
he
to
lives
the
a different
mansion? You
life.
know, so he's
Yeah.
already been a history.
Yeah, I
Oh
suppose they're also implying
shit! Oh
what's that?
wait, no, never mind. I was thinking there's a whole other body, like there's two bodies, but it isn't. It is just his
No, no,
consciousness
it's his
that does go
consciousness
back.
waking up within that body. Um,
So he wakes up there, lives the whole
what
life because the
Mhm.
history has to write itself first, and then he
Yeah.
wakes up after it's fully written,
So
sort of
whatever
thing.
day he
Oh.
got sent back is the day he
Oh.
wakes up in the new alternate
Oh
future.
shit. Okay,
Because what
yeah.
year is it that they flash forward to?
Ooh.
What is the New York is it New York 2020 something?
Oh, it's in there. Okay, yeah. I guess I didn't pay attention exactly as to what, when they are there. But that makes perfect sense. It would be that day that he was sent back, which is why there would be this weird period where he doesn't even know who
Mhm,
he is. Oh my
mhm.
God. Whoa. Yeah, okay, that just clicked for me.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Time. Yeah, because I don't know what to even Google.
Well, there's a title card at the very beginning of Days of Future Past. If you could open it and
I
kind
guess,
of
yeah,
what
it
because
does
it's like
say
New York
2023.
2023.
Yeah. Whoa, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, 1973 and 2023.
That's even
Um,
funnier considering again, another further little thing that doesn't make Logan fit in with this canon is that I'm pretty sure that's the late 20s and Charles Xavier is basically paraplegic and uh Logan is at least 30 years older.
Yeah.
20 years older.
Yeah, thinking about the whole continuity of the X-Men movies always does get to
That's
me.
why I decide
But
there is no continuity
yeah,
except for these
this
first 6 movies.
basically everything that
That's a
is in this
continuity.
movie. Yeah, everything that
Yes.
is involved in that is wrapped up here.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because
Because even the little tease at the end of the movie that Mystique acted as Stryker and say it seems like she's gonna save Logan from that fate.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any that's the one thing. I wish the movie wouldn't have ended with that because it seems like they're trying to tease
That he wouldn't
something
go
that they
down the
don't
same
follow
path
through
at
on.
all. Yeah, that
Yeah.
they're going down a complete.
And also in Apocalypse, he appears at Lake Alkali as Weapon X. Like he's got the full fucking
So he goes
thing
through
on and
everything still.
he goes through everything anyway. And Mystique somehow led him there. So it's like, what's the fucking point of that then? What's the point of that tease? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Oh, yeah, that is a little weird. Because it'd be really cool if they, just took him straight to the mansion and he just didn't have that part of his life anymore. Like he
Well,
never
then he
had to
wouldn't
go
have an
through that.
adamantium skull
Yeah.
or skeleton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's no
So
real
like,
other way to get him that. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the other thing too is that like I guess this movie doesn't necessarily indicate to us that he does have an adamantium skeleton at the end of this movie. He doesn't withdraw
Yeah.
the claws and have
Mm-hmm.
uh so like there is the possibility that he does live an alternate life that leads to
Yeah.
him not doing
Who's to
that.
say
Like I said,
one of like Hank or someone else in
the
the
end.
X-Men figuring it out for him in a way less traumatizing way. That being like, hey,
There
would
you
you
go.
still like an adamantium skull? We can try to figure it out ourselves.
Hmm.
It'll be a painful procedure. You know that you'll die again, but it's your choice this time at least.
I've been
Um,
having this terrible habit, and I did it all on the Wolverine as well. I keep saying adamantium skull. His entire
skeleton.
skeleton His
Yeah.
entire skeleton is
Hmm.
adamantium. I wanted to address it because I'm sure people
I haven't
might
even
have been
caught it
listening,
at all.
and you just
Um,
said it too, which is why I'm like, now I'm
oh.
influencing you, so, like, I can't have that.
Oh
Um,
shit. Yeah, I've
so
had
I'm like
zero clue at all. I thought
yeah.
I've been saying
So
skeleton as well. Okay.
exactly. It's the fact that they both start with skull,
Hmm.
like, it's sk and I'm just like,
Skeleton.
"It's a fucking skull,"
Yeah.
skeleton. It's a
Is
skeleton. It's a
adamantium
different word, obviously,
skeleton.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah,
okay.
so I just wanted to address that. I'm sorry to anybody who listened to our Wolverine episode a couple weeks back and then through the beginning of this one. I did correct myself earlier. But it just wanted I'm gonna try my best to say skeleton from now on.
Okay.
I know it's not just his head
Yeah.
that is adamantium, for the record. His
Question.
claws being adamantium wouldn't make sense at that point.
What
But
mutation does JFK have? What is Magneto telling the truth there? Is he just trying to get out of a lie, being like, no, I actually fucking killed him. Like I curved that bullet, I killed that dude. Oops. Or is this for real? Is he trying to save JFK because he is a mutant? And maybe this is why he was assassinated.
my
Because
thing is uh,
I got
I
the same
don't
gene JFK does. So this
yes,
answer is
this
very
is
important
important for you. This
because
is
I
important
might
for you.
have the same X gene or mutant
Yeah, the
gene
mutation.
as him.
Yeah.
I need to
Um
know what we could have. What would make
This has
sense?
always been
Um,
odd and unclear to me. Magneto's insistence that he didn't do it,
mhm.
and them trying to be like it's because he was also a mutant. What did Magneto do then that like how could
He
he
was trying to
why
save him, he said.
and then
But
he
they got
accidentally
to
curved the
him
bullet into his
before.
skull.
Yeah, he was curving the bullet. They tackled him, and then it ended up
So this bullet that was
still.
already not gonna hit him.
Or they were playing like the assassin. So in I guess from Magneto, from what he says, the assassination was planned. He knew it was going
Mhm.
down. He's trying to save JFK, so they're
Yeah.
going to kill him if he's not there. But then he tries to curve the bullet. Maybe it would kill him, because it went through his neck first and then a really weird path or whatever. So maybe that's their explanation is that like it was gonna kill him or it's
Or
already there
maybe
and then
in
it.
this reality, they're going with the 2 shots thing, and one came from the grassy knoll. He
Yeah.
curves the first one, but the second one gets his ass.
Yeah,
Um,
true. Yeah, that I get.
you
Yeah, I
know?
guess there. Yeah, there's a whole lot of plot holes, even
There's
in
a
the
whole lot
real
of
life
avenues there.
JFK assassination. And I crazy to call it a plot hole, but just we don't
Yeah, no,
fucking
the
know.
conspiracy.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't know. I love like them trying to explain things in universe here.
Oh yeah. No, I
And
do too. And I mean, like, it makes for one of the coolest sequences anybody's ever done with super speed.
yes,
Of
it does.
course,
Yeah,
it's
there's
one
another
of
scene
the.
contender in there.
Mhm.
The Charles meeting Charles was up there.
Yeah,
The Pentagon breakout, the kitchen
so cool.
specifically. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
that's up there. And then my other one was whenever it's Charles and Magneto arguing on the plane. Whenever they pick up Magneto at right after the breakout,
Ooh.
and they're
Yeah,
kind of just
you start
yeah
Azazel,
they're having words
Emma,
for the
and
first
yeah.
time in a long time, and he gets a little angry. Those are
Oh
the
yeah,
three.
dude.
Um,
I also love that he puts, like, he's damaging the hull, and then when he's done, he fixes it. I don't know if you
yeah, like
like, he
bloop.
pops it back
Yeah, it's
out.
like
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Well,
cool. I dig that.
that's just an airplane thing. Like that, like the pressure of the fuselage is it isn't really that thick of metal. It is very thin and foily,
Mhm.
and if like it, I don't know. So I was it was kind of cool just to see him like kind of squeeze it just a little bit, but not fully like
Yeah,
damage the
crunch
plane
it.
beyond repair. Yeah, that was really sick. Like a lot like that when he's squeezing the plane, and then another really short sequence that they don't even really play on a whole lot is whenever he's on the train tracks with the sentinels in the car and he just picks up
And he's,
all
like,
the
splitting
bars
metal.
and
He's
like
not just he's not just moving metal, he is literally slicing it and dicing it to what he
yes.
needs.
I have no
Um,
idea how this gives him complete control over the Sentinels, but it's cool regardless. Just putting metal
yeah,
inside of them, is like, fuck it. Now I have this
Magneto
mind
has
link
control over them.
between
Yeah,
them. Um, but
no,
no,
I think
it's
I thought that was interesting too. I like that. One of the things I do love about this movie is, unlike previous X-Men adaptations, and I feel like, they still didn't quite get there with the costume design stuff. It is unabashedly comic booky.
mhm,
Um,
yeah,
I mean, we get the original Sentinels, and those aren't quite what Sentinels look
mm,
like in comics, but they're damn close. It's very, very cool. I just the general plot, like the Days of Future Past plot, is a difficult one to pull off satisfyingly,
yeah,
and I feel
it
like they did it
works.
so fucking
Like,
well.
and there's not even like really that many storylines where you can get confused. Like, there's not really that many confusing things in
Mm.
here. It's
They
just
make it very. I
like,
appreciate that the future, one spot. We're
mm-hmm,
in one location the whole time. If we go there, you know where we are, and they never go there in the past.
yep.
So it's exactly where we are, and that's that. I appreciated that a great deal. One of the things that this movie benefits from greatly, typically in the Days of Future Past plot, they use Bishop to send him back, like they do at the beginning of the movie. Send him back a couple days. They typically do that however long ago they need to. It's usually just Bishop,
Mm-hmm.
not Wolverine. Now, now that Logan's been the center of your franchise and you are able to give him this character who has been in 6 movies,
Mm-hmm.
five of these main ones, um, to be able to give him the point around which everything pivots, I absolutely loved. I loved the interactions he has with young Charles,
Mm.
and there are less of them, but young Magneto too.
Yes.
Um,
Oh yeah. Like that's
I loved that stuff. Me and you know, we're
we're
gonna fight a lot.
survivors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
yeah. We're survivors.
every that's why that this movie kind of elevated for me the most is all of these crazy interactions that we're having that are not possible without this storyline. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't it's not possible to get all of these interactions and
Right here's trying to take you down, bub.
yeah, like we got a lot of bubs, good bubs, a lot of
Bubs, bubs.
cigar. I think they
Came on
realized
screen with a stogie, bro.
yeah,
I
I
was
think
like,
they
thank
knew.
fucking
I think they
God.
knew. They were like, we didn't have enough cigar. We didn't have any cigar actually at all in
Wolverine,
Wolverine.
none of them.
We fucked. They fucked up. They made a cool movie. It was enjoyable.
Oh,
Um,
for sure.
if Wolverine's having a cigar though, just the cherry on top a little. It's just really nice to see. And yeah, that's like Charles and Eric have their whole argument in the plane, and then he's just in the back, like lighting up. You know, he's just like, yeah, if you guys like, wow, you really were, you're an asshole from the beginning or something. You know, yeah, he's like, you really were or you are an asshole.
Yeah. No,
Um,
dude, I love it. I love it. And just again, just the benefit of having him as the centerpiece. Obviously, it was never planned. I don't think they ever planned that they were going to get to this point with Days of Future Past where they were going to be
mhm.
able to retcon every terrible thing that happened in the first 3 X-Men movies.
Uh-huh.
But to luck into that,
Yeah,
to find your way there and have Hugh Jackman still on board, still willing to do this thing, and have Logan find this peace at the end is
yeah.
so fucking
Like
great.
the
I love it.
only bad thing for Logan at the end, he's like, "Oh my God, wow, I'm at the mansion. The school is thriving.
Something's
Like
gonna
what a
change.
great." Yeah, he's like, "Gene, yes. Gene, you're alive. No way you're even real." And then Scott, he's like, "Fuck, man. If one person couldn't have come back, you know. I good to see you, Scott, but like, man, you
No,
know."
but that's another
Um,
thing too, is that I love whenever he has that one-on-one with Xavier and he's like, uh, Aurora, Jean, Scott, remember these names. Bring us together. You know, he recognizes, he has the opportunity
yes.
to, beef on that a little bit and be like, forget about that. But he knows who makes Gene happiest. He knows what's best for the
Yeah.
school and what's best for the team, and he recognizes Scott as a
Yes.
as a
This
true
isn't
leader in their life.
Logan's utopia. This is kind of the X-Men's utopia.
Just
You know,
what should be.
not all it should only be a happy ending for Logan.
Well, and it's
No, it should not.
also, he knows that he's changing the future. He doesn't know how much he's changing the future. It's kind of him admitting that, like, even for all its faults, he would do it again.
Mm.
He's glad. He's glad whenever he gets there and everything's okay, everything's happy. But
Mhm.
like, he doesn't know that that's how much they're changing things. Like
Yeah, the planet was on the brink of extinction
mhm,
before, and now it's like seemingly very
just
good.
fine.
Very, very good. And I guess the like Magneto actually did surround the White House. So
That all did happen.
that
That is
actually
part of
happened.
history now.
So Magneto is still kind of seen as, bad as from humanity.
Yes,
But
but he did actually help like crazy because showing that the Sentinels were corruptible is what made them not go forward with the Sentinel program,
okay. True.
And I don't think
True.
they necessarily knew he was controlling the Sentinels. I think they just happened to think
That
that
was his play. Yeah,
Sentinels
it
fucked
was.
up, you know?
Yeah, okay. And yeah, I love the Richard Nixon like
I am not a crook.
yeah, like and it's I love on one hand when movies just have it's just a random ass it's not any president. They're not trying to
No, but
like
they're like, "This happened during 1973,
yeah.
bro. Richard Nixon is president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just love how they weave in like actual
What's
kind of
happening here?
history. Yeah. It just
I'm always gonna do this.
yeah, I don't know why, but it just
It's
makes it cool. Like
so
it makes
believe.
it cool that Magneto can be the one to save JFK or Richard
Mystique
Nixon's
saved
yeah.
Nixon,
Yeah, he's the one being surrounded by I guess this is Washington D.C. So this is yeah, I don't know what baseball team.
the
The
Nationals, Washington
Baltimore? Would
Nationals.
this be Baltimore? It's in
No, the
Maryland?
Washington Nationals.
Is that but are they in
They're in
DC or
DC.
are they
They're in
in
DC.
Washington State? Okay. Um
They're DC.
okay. So yeah, he just picks up their stadium. Boop,
Wraps it
easy
down.
plop around the White House. Um
Some great subtle ad placement during that. You
oh
know,
really?
you got Mountain Dew signs
Oh,
crumbling in the
okay.
background
Yeah, yeah.
and PepsiCo and all this stuff.
That is perfect.
Um,
Yeah, I didn't
it,
reckon. I was just taken in by the moment. I mean, this is why I love Magneto.
dude,
He is one for the dramatic, and I love it. Those cameras for one. they wouldn't work. I don't know
No,
what they're plugged into at the other end, but I love that he's one that always needs like the nation's attention. He's like,
he's got a message.
yeah, hello
He's here to
world.
deliver it.
And that's where my shot comes from is he's all god like in his god pose, arms up, floating the field behind him. The sentinels come up as well, and the
That was almost
president,
my
yeah,
shot. I'm glad you
yeah.
picked that
Oh,
because
dude, come
that was
on.
fucking dope. When he's like real small on the screen, getting bigger, and the Sentinels are rising up, and like, dude,
And then like
so
everyone's
fucking
looking
cool.
up at them like, what do we do? Like the president of the United States is looking up, hopeless. Like there's
Yeah,
nothing we could do against this guy. And yeah, no, I I loved it. That's Magneto's he's just the guy for me in these
yeah.
movies always.
Did you
And
go
I
with him?
Yeah, character I did. Um and Michael Fassbender's version. We get a lot more of him.
Hmm.
There is a nice moment we do get at the end, with the kind of final moments that they're having, making it
Mhm.
seem like it's all
That were
about to
you.
come to an end, and
It was precious to only have a precious few of them
yeah,
back.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my line. I was like, I was kind of struggling to find a line for the movie. No one was said, and I'm like, ooh, that's just the one. Not to say that there weren't any lines that hit during the movie. That one, it did hit. That one hit. Um, the I felt like there was a Logan one that I missed that I couldn't remember, and I don't know why. But I did end up going with a Magneto line just because I don't know. I love it was the old Magneto delivering it. I got the young Magneto as the character. I thought
Mhm.
I was a good little spread for Magneto. But no, I love Michael Fassbender. And he does a great job, but not quite the performance I don't think of James McAvoy for me. He like having like the junk to go through the junkie kind of version of him, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and be alongside Patrick Stewart, like look like face to face, and I think kind of acting better in like during that
In
scene,
that
which
moment,
is
yeah.
kind of crazy, like it's crazy that you would think just on paper that Patrick Stewart would be the dominant performance during that scene, but
And
um,
there's something there with just the age difference
yeah,
between the
wisdom,
Xaviers in
just
that
the
moment.
pure wisdom, like
Um,
there couldn't
Professor
be any
X's
better
Xavier,
words. Like
yeah.
there is no one better ever that could talk to him like in that moment. Like it's
No.
you are
Well, and
I am
also
you. Like I literally know what you're thinking right now. Um and yeah,
well, and also Professor Xavier of old is not experiencing something that blows his mind.
mm, mhm.
James McAvoy gets to play that scene with like an awe, like
Yeah,
kind
like
of like a
holy shit, I'm
holy
talking to
shit.
myself in the future. Like
Yeah.
this is
And
I'm
Professor and
yeah.
Charles Xavier, played by Patrick Stewart, is just kind of like, "Oh, what's up, homie?" Like he's like, "Oh,
Hey,
it's me. Look at
yeah.
you."
Charles. Yeah,
Charles.
oh man. But yeah, like what a cool movie to have moments like that, and it makes perfect sense. There's no like loops you have to jump through for it to make sense. It's like no, it's just the future stuff. You are right. When it is the future, it's very simple. And it's just like this is our last stand, like I
And
mean,
also
if there
pretty
is
as
a
fuck.
last stand, this feels more like the last stand
Mhm.
movie than anything. And yeah, it's all in the past pretty much the entire movie. But whenever we do get to the future, it is still meaningful. Like when you do see Storm just stabbed and thrown off the
Mhm.
side, and I'm like, on a first watch,
Utterly hopeless at
yeah, you're
that
just
point.
like, holy sh! Like they're just dropping like nothing. These Sentinels are like badass, and yeah, like
You
it.
watch Bobby's head get decapitated and then crushed under the heel of a sentinel, and you're like, "Oh!"
Colossus
You know?
just pulled in half.
Mhm.
That's cool. Let's see. I feel like the little head beam that comes out of the Sentinel was just slowly lowered into the head beam, like from above. Like that was, I felt like that was one of the deaths. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, all pretty gruesome. Um, they're, I know it's like from Raven. They're kind of like scales or
Yeah, yeah,
sort of thing. Kind of reminded me of a matte version of like Steppenwolf's armor. Like I felt like this is like a
yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
early kind of look into like Steppenwolf or what he eventually becomes. But I thought
No, for
they
sure.
looked really good. Like the
Dude, the visual
um
effects in this movie is, like, kinda seamless. There were very I
mhm.
don't think there was a single point in the movie where I was like, "Ah, that looked a little off." You know, like,
It looked
they knew
good.
what they were cooking here. Especially, dude, Mystique looks fucking fantastic.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh
my
yeah.
shot of the movie comes I mean, not only is the emotional weight of it just so fucking fulfilling, um, whenever she's holding the gun on Trask,
Ooh.
you know, and
Mm.
she's got the red, white, and blue behind her. Her skin's blue, her hair's bright red. It's a white gun. It's just like the color palette
Ah,
of that scene looked
okay.
so fucking good,
Yeah.
and the composition of it was really strong. I just fucking loved it. Just aesthetically, everything about it made me go just kind of like, and they kept cutting back to it. It's one of those things where like they'd show it, they'd cut to
Yeah.
something, they'd show it, they'd cut to something. I'd be like,
Big
show one
moment
more
there. Yeah,
time,
huge
show one
moment.
more.
Like,
Um,
ooh, maybe that was almost a line. Whenever Xavier was like, "I've been trying to control you for far too long. Like the
mm,
everything like rests in your hands now. Like you have
whatever happened.
complete control
Every
over."
time he appears like that, also, it's like a really impactful visual.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if it's because we know Professor X to be wheelchair bound but whenever he appears in the airport,
Mm,
um,
mm-hmm.
and this is it's an obvious choice, but every single person in the hallway is going one direction and he's facing the other. Um, and it just looks so fucking good. Like, it's so that was something that just stood out about this movie
Oh,
is that
that's
there were
cool.
a lot of really good
Yeah.
looking visuals,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
and, like, not just epic visual effect shots, like, just subtle, small things that
yeah.
look good.
Couple times a little taking advantage of Mystique's costume design, I think, a little bit in some
Yes.
angles.
Even when
Um,
she drops the gun, did you
oh,
notice
dude,
that one?
yeah. Like I'm like at that point, like there were a few before where it was like she was sort of having a like putting that one general, general's choking him out like with her foot up against the
Yeah.
wall. It shows her ass very much so, but it's like she's choking someone out, so it's like okay, this one sort of works. It's whatever. The one like that though, when she drops the gun and it is just camera up
Up
her
yeah,
ass, I'm
yeah,
like okay, I'm like
okay,
all
yeah.
right now, like we
A
are
bit
making a
heavy-handed
kids
here,
movie here. We
especially in a moment like that, it's very heavy,
yeah
like, it's not a
yeah
light
like
moment where, like, it's just not that you should really like
she's naked. I mean, like basically naked. Like there is nothing, nothing there. It's a little overzealous a couple times.
Yeah, no,
That they jumped in there, but
I did go with Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique for my, character, though. I
hmm
think that the arc that she goes on over the course of this movie, it's simple and
yes,
straightforward, and she's not a huge factor for a ton of the movie, but the last half, sh she is the
she's
point
the
of the
key.
film.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
if she, like her decision was the I mean, they kind of threw her under the bus pretty heavily, saying like you caused the extinction of everything. But it's like, well,
She's the root
yeah,
cause, but there's a lot more
she's
that
still
happens after
doing
that.
it to try to save mutants in the first place. It's not like
Yeah.
she's doing it to try to make everyone go extinct. But no, I thought it was like the importance on Mystique was very, very high in this one. Uh, yeah, like everyone was important. They're really like what didn't seem that there was anyone that wasn't there that didn't need to be. Like it was all like you will go
For
back
a
in time.
movie
You're not going to be enough. You'll need me, Professor
Mhm.
X. But then he's like, I'm not going to be enough. You'll need Magneto too, and us together hopefully will be enough to convince her. And it's a perfect. I don't know. I thought it was everything just worked out very very well.
For a movie with so much going on and so many different characters and so many different and 2 different times and all this, a super complicated plotline, to never feel overstuffed, to never feel bloated, to feel like everything had its place and everything
Yeah.
was right where it was supposed to be. That's difficult, and I think they pulled off something extremely, extremely satisfying with this story, man. I thought that, like it had the chance to become overstuffed, but then it always cuts off right when it needs, like right when it needs to. It's like, oh well,
Mm-hmm.
when we have Peter, Peter Maximoff, um, being in the movie, and you're like, oh well, if he sticks around, are they gonna do the thing with Magneto? Is he gonna realize he's his dad? And are we gonna do all that? We're gonna deal with all that this episode, this movie. No, he's in the movie for the time he needs to be in the movie. Then he's not in the movie anymore. The stuff with the Paris Peace Conference, the Peace Summit, the stuff leading up to it, where she is choking out that guy and
Mm-hmm.
getting the information out of him. If we spend too much time with Mystique trying to not uncover a conspiracy, but plot her assassination, it could feel like, man, we did a whole lot of planning for not a lot of payoff. We did just enough planning for the perfect amount of
Yeah.
playoff, and that was close to my scene, was all hell breaking loose at the Peace Summit. Um, because dude, everyone is on top of their fucking game there performance wise. Um, Magneto realizing what he has to do, he's like, I'm gonna kill Raven. It's the only way at this point that he can see. Charles trying to prevent that. Beast helping out. My favorite performance of the movie, and partially because of this scene, is Hugh Jackman
Yeah,
as
him.
Logan. Uh,
Fuck. Yeah, he's like
yeah,
he sees like Stryker just on the ground, tased
yeah.
out, and he's like, no, like yeah, it's
But
like
the
like the
series, the series of where am I? Who are you? And
mm-hmm.
then Hank pops up and he goes, what the
What
hell
is
is that?
that?
I fucking love it. I fucking love it, dude. It is so fucking
What
funny.
the hell
Um,
is that? Yeah, that was pretty good. Um, oh man, I
and then
guess
Charles having to explain he's having a bad acid trip.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
dog. Yeah, he's like at first he's trying to be like, no, I am,
you
I'm
came to
Professor
us.
X.
You've
I'm
been with us for a
Charles. Yeah,
couple
he's like,
days.
you know what? Fuck it, dude. You're on a bad trip, man. Someone gave you some bad acid. Don't know what to say. You're just going through it. And then he's finally back, and he's like, oh, thank God. Like that's was going to be a
Mhm.
lot harder to
Didn't
deal
want to
with.
deal with that.
Yeah, but yeah, see, just Striker. I mean, that's fair enough. That's one guy seeing him. That's like I don't even know what it's PTSD, but it hasn't even happened yet. It's that, but it has.
It has for that Logan at that time.
Yeah, but it's like seeing the person who will cause you all of
Hmm.
the trauma in the first
I just
place.
saw somebody who's going to
Yeah.
cause me a lot of pain one day.
hmm And then it.
Yeah, no, and frankly, another great little aspect of this movie that I don't think it's enough love is it's a wonderful 70s period piece. Um, we were talking about dealing with like the history and how it
mhm,
weaves through it, but the idea that the Vietnam War wiped out X Mansion, like that that cleared out the older students, it cleared out the teachers, everyone got drafted, it kind of destroyed Charles, and that was kind of it. Um,
yeah.
like that's devastating, the idea that I love the costume design, the cars, uh, the set design, when Logan wakes up in that room with the lava lamp and then a water bed and all those dudes break in and they're like, you're not supposed to sleep with the boss's daughter. And he's like, I didn't. And, you know, well, how do you explain it? Well, I did sleep with her several times,
A
but
lot,
not,
but
not me.
not
I just got here like
really.
20 seconds ago.
I'm like, what the
Um,
fuck, dude? What are you talking about? He's like, all right,
yeah,
guys, just give me your car keys, give me some clothes, and you don't
I
have to end
love
up in the
how much,
hospital. You don't have to wake
dude.
up in the hospital. Yeah,
Peaceful thoughts.
yeah,
I love that whole thing, dude. I love how much joy you can tell Logan takes in telling everyone he's from the future. You know,
be a
every time
yeah. I mean, come
he
on.
knows there's no way it's going to be believable. He
It's like,
has to try to
let's see
explain
how
out,
this
but he's
goes.
always
Yeah,
just like, "Do you believe me if I told you I'm from the future?"
yeah.
Like
Like, all right,
I
bud.
love
All
that
right,
shit.
so let's get back to reality. He's like, well, all right, well, for striking up, maybe this was like a trial run to try to explain to Xavier. It's just like, all right, let's see how it goes on these thugs, these random whoever the fuck he's talking to. It's like, yeah, it didn't work out. Maybe going about it a different way.
Mm.
next time when he talks to Xavier. Uh, but no, I mean that was like perfect. The way he does tell Xavier, just being like, yeah, you know, all the voices in your head, they don't go away. You hear every single one of them. Like, but
Never
at the
told
age
anybody.
of whatever it started, and he's like, oh, I haven't told anyone that. Like,
You
I've
will.
never. And he's like, yeah. And it's
Dude,
like,
and it's just such a perfect opportunity. Again, lucking into the fact that they've centered Logan so hard and for him to be around still. Like, because of the journey he goes on with Xavier, specifically in the
mhm,
first movie, but extending that into X2 and X3, and then basically calling back to the very first movie from 14 years prior so heavily
it's
in
pretty
this
cool.
movie. Just
Yeah,
it's so
like
cool. I love it, dude.
it was
It's
awesome.
it's
Yeah,
wonderful to see.
I think, man, I think I'll go my scene. I was gonna go with the Pentagon kitchen, but I think just overall, whenever Charles is talking to Charles, it's always a little weird to talk about, but just that
Mhm.
moment, the whole Logan telling him, you know,
Oh,
I,
you
d-
pulled.
I don't know. I understand. You help me, get to where I need to go. I know I'm not the one who can help you there, but I do know someone who can. And he's like, I'm
Mhm.
talking about you, but not you right now. Like
Yeah,
it's just a crazy, what a crazy
concept.
therapy session that's going on right here.
Yeah.
Um, and it's to get the his power back. It's like he's back now. Xavier, he's been out of it. Choosing to be out of the game, and this is finally him coming back. And I even love whenever Hank comes back and he's like, hey, the power's back on, and Xavier's like, yes. Yes, it is, or something, something like that. It's
Yeah.
just
No,
a
it's
real
so
nice,
corny, but I love it. I
yeah. I don't
love
know.
it.
I love all that
And I
stuff.
also love, again, building off of, like, First Class, like, the very essence of what Magneto and Xavier's
Mm,
drastic perspectives
yeah,
are. Um,
yeah, yeah.
like, they conclude that movie with Mystique saying the line "mutant and proud." After this experience, Xavier has no interest in being reminded of that, so
Hmm. Yeah, he's
forget.
paralyzed. He lost his
Mhm,
friend and Mystique all in
mhm,
one go, and he's like, "All right, I can cut the voices out of my head. I can walk again if I shoot up." And the imagery of making him have to shoot up something, I think
yeah,
just it makes it play out even better.
mhm.
It's
Well, and they have Hank literally say, he takes way too much of it. He shouldn't take as much of
yeah,
it as he does. Like,
hmm
it's,
yeah.
uh
Was getting bad. But I mean,
and they
whenever he does hop back in Cerebro for the first time again, and you hear everyone just like screaming, like "Please help!" and like just it's
yeah,
so horrible. Like it was like okay, fair enough,
yeah.
dude.
No,
Uh,
yeah, I wouldn't wanna hear that shit either, bro.
yeah, he hears
Having to tune all that out.
everything. Yeah, it's like I guess just like a Superman thing. You
Yeah, amplifier.
gotta tune it all out. Um,
Ugh.
but yeah,
Yeah, no, it's terrible,
that's
but,
why I went James McAvoy though. I really
oh, and they do a great job with Professor X in this one, man.
mm,
Like, as far as, like, we've discussed in past movies and adaptations with Patrick Stewart and last movie with James McAvoy, where they have a tough time, really capturing the balance of Xavier. He always has the best intentions. He
mhm.
often doesn't do exactly the right thing. Um, and he has a certain possessiveness. He has like there's a lot. I think this movie does a fantastic job with Xavier. Like the evolution to when at the end of the movie he says you are no longer the girl I grew up with. When the whole fucking time he's been talking about how he raised her.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That
and
was
it's
one of the contention or like their argument on the plane. He was like, "Yeah, when
mm,
I didn't raise Raven to be that way." He's like, You didn't raise her. You just lived with her, dude."
you're
Like
the
in like
same
yeah.
age.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very strange. Yeah, saying
He has
yeah,
a savior
but
complex,
mhm.
because he did find her in his kitchen and because he did, save her from a life where she had to rummage through other people's kitchens and go place to place. He feels responsible for her in a way that he's not supposed to.
Mm.
She is her own woman, and he has to realize that. And I think that by the time he does, and to also have Mystique go on her own journey that is completely separate from Xavier coming to that realization, like it's kind of like these two storylines meeting
Yeah.
there and ultimately culminating at the same point. Again, difficult to do. Usually we'd be talking about how they underutilized Mystique, and it's a shame they used her to further Xavier's characterization, but I don't feel like they did that.
Mm-mm.
I
It
feel
worked
like
for
Mystique
everyone
has,
here.
yeah,
Yeah, it
yes,
worked for Mystique and it worked for Xavier. Like there's Xavier just having the ability to jump into someone's mind and completely control them and do whatever he wants. Like just that in itself is crazy that it can happen, and like just the fact that he chooses not to do it in its own like at all always leads for like that cool moment of like if he wanted to, he doesn't have to talk to Mystique right now. He could jump into her body, do
mm,
what he wants to happen, show America, look, everything's all good, but he does give her the decision and power to do so. But then instantly when it's over, he hops into Magneto. He's like doesn't think about it, he's like, "All right, get this shit off of me." Like, "Oh my god. Like, come on, Eric. Like I'm trapped under a bunch of metal and you can't even want you do one little second to get this shit off." I guess he's trying to, he has his own motives and everything at that point.
yeah,
So a lot of other things going on, but I love how just instantly he hops into Magneto. It's like out like in
get
like
me out of
yeah,
here.
and then
Yeah.
like and then Eric's like, "Oh wait, what?" He's like, "Oh shit." He's like,
Well,
"Damn
and
it,
it also like that's
he was
something you
in
don't
there."
ever really consider Xavier is capable of. Like he can control other mutants and in doing so use their powers.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Yeah. I mean, he freezes entire airports at a time,
yeah,
but just taking over a single mutant, he,
God. And
yeah.
going back to that the kitchen scene whenever Magneto they open the elevator and Charles just fucking decks him, and then they get swarmed, and Magneto's like, freeze them, Charles.
Yeah,
And
Charles,
he's like,
come
I
on.
can't.
He's like,
Charles, he's like, we got to do something here,
he's
and
like,
I can't do shit.
these
They've got
bullets aren't
plastic in those
metal.
fucking
Yeah,
guns.
he's like,
Uh,
we're kind of screwed here. He's just got the knives and all the pots and stuff to work with, but those bullets are a little faster than Magneto would be in this moment. So yeah, it's would have been
and I love
raps.
that we had the possibility of a Logan and Magneto teaming up against a room full of dudes and seeing what that could have been, and we end up being treated
Mm,
to like one of the coolest action sequences in the entire franchise because they actually don't have anything to do at all.
yeah.
But like the very concept of that, like Magneto and Wolverine teaming up before Wolverine is capable, like before Wolverine is meddled up, like
Mm-hmm.
all the calls to that
Yeah.
where like Magneto thinks like, imagine if they were metal. Um,
Yeah. Oh, he knows.
he's like,
That
oh, I could fuck you up that way, just so you know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I guess. Wow. I guess if Magneto really wanted to, could just rip his skeleton out of his body
yeah.
over and over. And I mean, like, I guess Logan wouldn't die. But damn, that could suck. But the team up possibilities, though, like he could make Logan fly, basically.
They could do the coolest
Oh my.
fastball special of all time. The thing Colossus and Wolverine do where he throws him. Magneto could just spin him and
Oh,
fucking,
he's
like that would be
Wolverine just
gnarly.
has his claws out, arms up,
Yeah,
and he's just
yeah,
slicing through everybody, just as a torpedo. And Magneto's just
exactly.
it's like he is Yondu's little arrow, and Magneto's just
Yes,
whistling
yes,
Wolverine around. Yeah, it's just
yeah.
just oh man, that visual would be
I would
incredible.
love it. I would love it. No, but yeah, man.
Huh.
I fucking loved this movie, man. It made me it every time I watch one of those movies that makes me like, I want to watch all these movies again. Up to this point, I wanna watch all of them again.
Mm-hmm.
But also I wanna go read the comics. Also, I wanna go I want to go watch every movie I can with Hugh Jackman in it. I want to go watch every movie I can with Michael Fassbender in it. I want to go watch all this. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that this movie not only stands so well on its own, but reminds me so much of what's come before it and how much I love the X-Men and how it just kind of gets that it gets that team. It's not it's fantastic, and I value it dearly. When it comes to the old letterboxed ranking here, fell pretty high. Fell pretty high. This will be our 56th movie. Um, after Winter Soldier and stuff last week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, fell above those. Uh, fell above even the first Captain America movie, and is only below Superman and The Dark Knight for me at 3
Yeah,
X-Men Days of Future Past.
that's pretty damn good. It is not quite that high for me. Our top movies are a little different. But for me, it did land pretty high, and it jumped up even one more spot. I didn't have it above Iron Man, but now I do. For me, it is at 7 right now for me. Uh, and it is only below. It is below The Dark Knight. We do have that in common. It is below Superman. We do have that in common as well. But I do have Spider Man, The Amazing Spider Man, Iron Man 3, and Big Hero 6 still above it.
Gotcha.
That
Gotcha.
I could see it being above Big Hero 6,
It's
but
right there though.
the thing that
That's
impressed
the line.
the thought that I was thinking is like this movie X-Men like there's so much going on that gives me all of this excitement, so much history that allows it to happen. Big Hero 6 is one movie all on its own. That's it, and
Stands
I'm
alone.
already feeling like I'm crying more in that movie. So
Hmm.
that's kind of where I weighed it. But I
I
could see
cannot
like
honestly say to you that I cried more during Big Hero 6. Um,
okay, here.
I can't.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No,
Yeah,
like when I say the end of this movie moves me to the very core, like we're talking nearly 20 years of personal history attached to these characters
wow.
kind of
So
paying
there
off
is the difference.
in an
Yeah.
extremely meaningful way for me. So like,
Because I
yeah, no.
did, I felt it. I knew I was supposed to be feeling emotional in this moment, but it was just a simple tear up. Like not even like I don't even
No, I'm
um
full blown fucking crying.
okay. Okay, that makes
So
sense.
and I know that's not and again, it is different than Big Hero 6. I will grant you that. Like Big Hero 6, I'm also doing that type of crying,
Mm-hmm.
with no prior history, not a 20-year history with these characters and all that stuff. Like, uh, but just the feeling that, and again, it's because of Hugh Jackman and it is because of Logan and like that again. You have Spider-Man above it. I don't have any Spider-Man above it. And it's because Wolverine's
That's
my
true.
favorite Marvel
Yeah, there's the
character.
history.
And
Yeah.
him getting there and having that happy ending, bro, I'm a sucker for it. It just guts me, and in a good way, I should say, not
Yeah.
like guts me
This
like,
this
oh,
is the prettiest bow I think you can tie.
mhm.
And that has been tied in the X-Men continuity now, and I'd agree. Yeah, all headcanon. This is the end. This is
This is it.
where they are. If
Everything
they want
after
to pop
this,
up in Marvel, this is what
you could
happened.
say
Yeah.
apocalypse even could happen. I'd be okay with that.
Hmm.
Um, and I suppose the Dark Phoenix could too, but I don't love that Mystique dies in Dark
Yeah,
Phoenix. I don't.
that's
There's
the
a
one
lot of
thing I
stuff in
remember.
Dark
There
Phoenix I
is
don't
her death just being a
like.
like, really? That like really?
That movie overall is just not very good, which
Hmm.
sucks. Peter sidelined the whole fucking time. There's like nothing there. It is what it is. But I love to look at this as the conclusion to that story with these characters, and
Yeah. The
yeah,
conclusion that is in the middle, but dealt with the beginning, present, and the after. Yeah, what a
yeah,
crazy. I guess it's the same with the MCU. Endgame. they went back and put the stones all where they need. Way more confusing in Endgame and Infinity
This
War.
is simple
Yeah.
fucking time travel, man.
Mm-hmm.
I love how simple they made this shit. And I know it is like they have a lot less to deal with. It is much simpler. They're not going to 6 different times,
Yeah.
or
True.
5. I guess 2 of them are in the same spot or something like that.
Yeah. Who
But
knows?
regardless,
That's the thing,
uh,
is that we don't know. There is so many details that are thrown up there that we can't really describe everything.
can't keep
Here,
up with it.
it is
Yeah, like, this is
simply
so fucking
decision
simple.
made in the past that led us to extinction. We're going
And it's
back
so
to not have
simple
that
that
happen.
I loved this movie. I love this movie. I don't have much more to say about it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is that simple of a film. I feel like I've touched on pretty much everything I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's true. I guess all the favorites have been said. Yeah, yeah.
oh, I don't think I said
Um,
my line.
mm,
I didn't give it the
that's right.
scene, but
Okay.
I did give it the line, and it's the classic one. It's the one that everyone remembers from this movie, just because it is such a moving sentiment. Just because someone stumbles and loses their way doesn't mean they're lost forever.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
And it echoes a sentiment that I love from The Last Jedi a couple years later with, Nobody's Ever Really Gone, like, just that idea that you
Oh
can
yeah.
you are not your worst deed. I love that. It's one of the more moving ideas, what was I watching recently? Can't remember. I was watching a TV show. I can't remember what TV show it was. I'm watching a few of them right now. And one of the main character meets a defense attorney, like a criminal defense attorney, and they were like, can I ask you a question? What
Mm-hmm.
does it ever bother you that you defend actually guilty people?" And she goes, "To be honest with you, most of the time they are guilty. Um, and no, that doesn't make me feel bad because I'm still happy to defend guilty people. They are more than this one bad thing they've done. And I'm glad to try and get them any bit of justice I can,
Hmm.
or save them from the worst possible outcome."
That's
And
a
that's a great sentiment.
it's
That's
an
a good
angle I
way to
haven't
look at that
yeah
position as
I haven't
well.
looked at it with that angle before, but that's
I wish I could remember what I was watching. Feel bad that I just kind of lingering that out there. Um,
hmm. Um, but no, I don't know that it is. I feel like, is that line, has that been said outside of this movie in the X-Men though before? Like, has Charles said that line before? I feel like it was my line in an X-Men movie before, like for some reason. It feels very familiar. Um, and I don't know why. Um, scrolling back, it doesn't seem like it. It's not popping up in any of my lines,
it's
but
set in Multiverse of Madness.
maybe that's it. That could
He
be it.
says it I'm pretty sure he says it about Doctor Strange, you know, just because someone stumbles and lost their way doesn't mean they're
Okay, so
lost
that's
forever.
the callback then. They're calling
Yes,
back to this, not
to this
anything
movie.
before. Okay.
This movie is
Um,
not calling back to something prior. Multiverse of Madness is calling back to this.
gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, I was trying to
Um,
remember what else it's set in, and it makes sense that Xavier also said it. But
yeah.
yeah, man, and frankly, I did want to touch on the set design for the future state in China. That
Mm.
temple they're in
Mm-hmm.
is fucking gorgeous. Whenever one of them like walks down the hall and the lights coming through the windows changes color on them and stuff, like fucking gorgeous. I loved that. It's just a wonderful setting for a lot of potential cool visuals, and it ultimately does pay off big time with that Charles scene.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, the light through the
duh.
yeah, that was
And the
very nice.
weird and
Yeah.
like the weird camera thing they're doing there, like the visual effect where you can
It's not pure
James
reality,
for a
but it's
while, I'm fairly certain James McAvoy might not even actually be there,
yeah.
and they're actually superimposing him in, and then it comes to,
Ah.
like, crystallize,
Okay.
and during that sequence, he is there.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And I might have to watch it to see again, but for a while, it almost does seem like he's against a green screen kind of being superimposed into
Mm.
this scene, and
Yeah.
then there comes a point where they crystallize and are looking at each other firmly, and they are
And then they
obviously
match.
both
Okay, I like
there.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it is what I will nail down as the scene of the movie. I think I mean it is where all the storylines kind of collide at once and just beautifully shot, beautifully performed, um, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that gives me even more comfort in nailing down that for the scene. Then yeah, I forgot how good it looked during the time or while it was while it was happening. So
I also like the trivia behind this movie. I mentioned, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is Hugh Jackman waking up in 1973, and, we got that buck-ass naked Hugh Jackman there.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
the script called for him to be wearing boxer shorts,
And he
and
was like, "Fuck it,
Hugh
I
Jackman
wouldn't be."
said,
Yeah.
if I'm waking up next to a beautiful woman, and if Logan is waking up next to a beautiful woman, he's not wearing boxer shorts when he wakes up in the morning, I can
Nope.
tell you that." Um,
Pure going commando too in those jeans, no underwear,
no
just
undies,
straight up
straight
jeans.
jean in it.
Um, probably the
At
worst
least
pair of pants to go commando with, but
probably the only way he'll ever have Gene directly on his crotch.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that was the I was like, I don't maybe do try to find your boxes at that point, when you do have the jeans there, but I mean, goddamn, does he just look? I mean, just the jeans, and when those dudes walk in, and
Good,
he's just, I
good,
mean,
good.
absolutely ripped out of his mind. Holy,
I wonder if
like,
that's how he feels close to Gene. Just pure just Gene.
mm,
Just Gene's
it's
on,
just Gene on him. That is why pure
Yeah,
commando, so he can have Gene as close to him as he possibly can.
possible.
Yep.
Just reminds him of Gene, that's all. Um,
Wow. Yeah. I guess perfect headcanon. The movies end here, and Wolverine likes to go commando in jeans so that he can feel as close to Jean as possible. The two things I will take away from this movie, I think. Two most important things
I
to
mean, we
take
haven't
away.
even mentioned Peter Dinklage.
Oh my
Um,
God, dude, actually kind of
yeah,
true. I not gonna lie, I thought like I'd come in and be like, okay, I'm gonna give him performance because he's gonna do good and do great. He does great in his role that he has, but I mean, oh my
it's very
God, are there just very very good performances
no, and,
everywhere
there is
else?
one of the things just one of those really satisfying shots that I I adored in this movie was actually taking advantage of Peter Dinklage's height. Um, in the Peace Summit, when he sets his presentation down on the table, they're able to set the camera directly on the table, show the thing on the left and Peter Dinklage on the right,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
without it being, like, angled or anything. It's just straight up, like, this is
Mm-hmm.
where he and it looks so good. It's just one of those things that using his height to their benefit really, really worked out there. It was also cool to see that, obviously we've seen that Mystique is very capable of changing physique as she has been
Mm-hmm.
Hugh Jackman and she's been all sorts of characters. Didn't know how drastically she could change height,
Oh yeah. I
you know?
guess she.
She
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That doesn't.
Yeah,
It's like a Arya or
yeah,
Faceless Men
Faceless Man, yeah.
situation. Uh, Arya it makes less sense. It's like
Far less
way
sense, yeah.
less sense. Mystique is basically just a Faceless Men maxed out. Like this is exactly
Mhm.
what they would want to be. This is
Yes,
the many faced god to them is Mystique.
that's true.
She is the many faced god. Um, yeah, and the key to a whole lot. Not just her being, the most powerful faceless man there is, but just she unlocks every this she is like the key to mutation, which I thought was really
Yeah.
cool. Um, and
Oh,
not
yeah,
her
but
blood
Peter
wasn't
Dinklage,
enough.
he
They
did
I
a
like that
great
they
fucking
threw in
job.
there that like no, I need her bone marrow or her brain matter and all that stuff. Like it wasn't just that her blood that they needed, but and
Yeah, because that was what
Stryker.
I was thinking with Magneto. I was like, You fucking dumbass.
Yeah, you're giving them exactly what, like, Mystique is what they want. That's the actual, like, killing, you know, the whole killing thing was what sparked them thinking they needed the Sentinels, but it was also what got her captured and them testing on her to
Mhm.
have what they needed to make the Sentinels so strong.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, and
No, but and then I also love that all the, like, found footage sorta stuff that's, like, shot in the format of, like it remind like, the
mm-hmm,
most famous tape we watch in this style is the JFK assassination, like,
mm-hmm,
the little square flickering reel of film. There is a small continuity error, which I think is hysterical that, um, doesn't make any sense. They switched to that to show the guy filming stuff.
mm-hmm.
They show the guy filming stuff in this format, in that style, um, which it's
That's
super funny
funny.
to think of
Yeah,
someone else filming stuff amidst all this chaos going, "Check out this guy also filming."
yeah.
You know,
I'm not going to film what everyone else is, but be the
I would like to
the
film the guy
artist
who's
in the
filming stuff.
moment. Yeah,
Uh,
let me step back here
yeah,
and think. No,
I'll
okay,
be the
I
true
didn't notice
documentary.
that. I guess it was
Yeah, no.
too fast for me to
No,
even put
it
it
was
together.
extremely
But
brief. It's hysterical that I even noticed it. It's just,
yeah,
like, I noticed it and I was like, "Now why would they show him in that style? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense." Um,
huh. But man, no, that's a cool thing with all the X-Men movies. They do tie in a bunch of real world stuff all the time, and
mm,
it makes
well,
it
and
just feel,
mm,
I don't
the
know, it just
post-credit scene, being ancient Egypt and
mm-hmm.
how we're gonna be heading to Apocalypse next movie. Uh,
That's how the pyramids were built, folks. This, it's
like, I
the
know
only
we're gonna have a
explanation.
great time when we get to Apocalypse,
Oh, dude,
for that reason.
that post credit scene alone, I'm already like, oh man, I was already like on a Patreon the other day. I was like, oh yeah, they definitely had some crazy technology. Like I don't know, they hummed or some straight up levitation or something. And
I will say that is the only part of the movie, visual effects wise, that looked terrible. It's clear
ah,
that they knew it was a post-credit scene.
mm-hmm,
They're like, "This
yeah.
is not a part of the
Another
movie.
very
Doesn't really
good
matter
use
much."
of the post credit scene. Don't
Yes,
put it in the
yes,
movie. Put it at, it is a post credit. Is that
and
so?
it's not between the, like, fancy stylized credits
Mm-mm,
and the black and white credits. No, it's
very end.
after all of it.
Yeah, let's put
Uh,
at the very end, though, just the teaser.
yeah.
That's supposed to be a young apocalypse there. Is that the idea? Or is this just
Well,
um
when it comes to Apocalypse, they show that there are already mutants that exist,
mm-hmm.
who are helping Apocalypse kind
Oh.
of live
And he
forever.
just takes and then lives in
Yes,
someone else.
yes,
That's right. That's
yes.
his whole thing.
So, I'm
Um
assuming this isn't they kinda did, like, a little reveal like it's supposed to be Apocalypse, like, the way they pan around her, but mostly because I think they're trying to pan to show the 4 horsemen in the background.
oh,
I
I
don't know
didn't
if you
even
see
pick up on
them.
that. Oh, I
Yeah,
did. Okay.
there's 4 people on horses in the background,
Oh,
which I
that's
think is
kind of
more
cool.
what they're panning around to show is like,
Mm,
"We're doing Apocalypse, baby."
I
Um,
see. That is pretty cool. Um,
yeah, but,
so I guess this could have just
yeah, no,
been
it's a solid post-credit scene, it's just got
yeah.
very geometrical, visual effects. It reminded me of, like, old Tron
Yeah.
type shit, which is
Oh
not
yeah.
exactly what
Yeah.
you want to be reminded of in
Mm-mm.
2014.
No.
Um,
Yeah, no, not at all. Um, but I don't know. I thought at least it is at the very end, not,
oh, yeah, yeah,
and completely
and I also
separate.
love that their steadfastness in the animated, stylized credit sequence at the beginning. Love that. We've
Ooh.
lost that.
Yeah.
We've lost that.
Yeah,
I need to return to that, man. I love
It's
that
because of
shit.
the DVD screens and stuff. There was a
Mhm.
reason for them to be made. If you were going through the like scene selection or anything, there were those little graphics that were made for it. But now
Mhm.
there's really no. It's just you play it. You
Also
hit play.
boring
That's
and
it.
simple.
There's no.
That's one of the best things about Black Widow is that it has, like, an opening credit sequence that is
Hmm.
super, like, actually compelling and interesting and good looking and,
And now we have Secret
sad.
Invasion, where they just have AI do it all at the beginning.
Mhm. Yep.
Like that's where that's where we've reached. But yeah, this is a prime. Like I'm thinking like the Spider-Man ones where it's going through the
Yeah, yeah.
webs,
They
or
always do it with the X-Men movies,
X-Men ones
man.
are
Like
cool.
First
They're
Class.
always cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the First Class one is probably one of my favorites. I know that Apocalypse has a really cool one with like the ancient Egypt
Oh
stuff.
yes. I Okay.
Yeah,
It's kind of coming back now. That
yeah.
one.
I'm
Ooh.
excited for Apocalypse. As much as I can
Mm-hmm.
recognize that it's not nearly as good a movie as this or First Class, I
Yeah.
still have a great fucking time with that movie. So I'm excited to. I mean, I just like these movies, man.
Mm-hmm.
Varying degrees of quality to be sure.
Oh yeah.
And there's only one X-Men movie I would say I do not like, and that's Origins Wolverine. Um, but besides that,
They've all been
I like every
pretty
single one of
great.
these.
Yeah. I guess on the letterbox list, it is Origins Wolverine, and then Last Stand is also pretty low compared to all the rest of them. Um,
Don't get me wrong, The Last Stand is not of the utmost quality, but I still find myself enjoying that movie a great deal. Um,
it is just the ending. It's just like that kind of gets me. But as far
I
as
mean,
the
the
rest
last
of the
act
movie, it's still pretty
is
fun. Still pretty good.
yeah, it's
Um,
entertaining at the very least. Um,
okay, I think. Are we there now? Have we? Because forgetting Peter Dinklage, that was kind of crazy. I
that
forgot we
was
didn't
something
even
we had
mention
to
him.
talk about. We had to talk about
Is
Peter
there
Dinklage.
anything
I
else
mean, we
that
do a
we
whole
might
Game of
have
Thrones
missed?
podcast here,
Mm-hmm.
like what are
Yeah,
we doing not mentioning Peter Dinklage?
I know.
Um,
I guess I don't know. It just kind of goes to show that everyone else was on their game. Everyone else that was in the like they were. I expected Peter Dinklage to be the performance when I came in just for who he is, um, but I think yeah, like James McAvoy, he got mine. But shit, I mean, Hugh Jackman could have definitely like very much
I mean,
deserved.
shit, Jennifer
Um,
Lawrence, Michael Fassbender, like they all do so freaking well in this movie.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
man. I even Elliot Page as Kitty Pryde,
Damn,
like they were
having just
doing an
to stick
excellent
through
job.
it. She didn't that just
Yeah.
collateral damage. Wolverine's just spazzing out. He's going through PTSD and just yeah, that sucks. That does
Yeah.
suck. But
Yeah. I need
okay.
Elliot Page in movies again. I love him.
Hmm.
Like just back on the screen, please.
Yeah, this
So good. But
maybe we do return here. That would be really sweet. Is that if they are wrapped in the MCU, maybe in Deadpool 3, we learn that this is we're taking off from here. I don't know.
and see,
And
that's my
everything's
thing is that
nice.
there's an element that I would enjoy some of that, like that's some of these characters I would highly invite them coming back to reprise these roles in the MCU. One of those that I think it would work for. I know a lot of people don't want it. I would not mind if Hugh Jackman was back as Wolverine. I would not mind. That's kind of his thing is
Hmm.
that he doesn't age, so
Yeah,
like
he's
like
still looking pretty
he still
good.
looks fucking great. But I mean, regardless, but above that, I would prefer new faces. I don't want our Professor X and Magneto to be 90. I'd
Yeah.
prefer not. I love Ian McKellen and I love Patrick Stewart with all my heart. Um, just not the optimal choice for a franchise that I hope runs for at least another 3 movies and another
Hmm.
several
It
years.
is a weird like maybe we don't have like state like people who are in for sure and they are our Wolverine for good, sort of thing. Maybe we are in this weird era now where it's just variants of you never know who you're going to get. And we do have some people that stick around, probably the main core group, but maybe everyone else there isn't like this, you know. They leave it up in the air on purpose so that anyone can come in at any point and we can't have,
Mm.
if we want the old actors at one point to come in, they can, but it won't be uh now they have to for the next 4 movies sort of thing. Um
Yeah, I there are elements like frankly, I would like them to skew younger with the X-Men just in general. But James Marsden as Scott Summers. I think that's fantastic casting. I just don't think that he got great material to work with within the first two X-Men movies. Um, I loved Famke Janssen as Jean Grey. I've talked about that multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see her get another shot. I don't think they will, like, even at that point, I would
Mm-hmm.
prefer the younger castmates come back to reprise their roles, like, I would prefer Sophie Turner to be
Mm.
Jean Grey in the MCU, like,
Yeah.
those are that's sort of how I feel about it, but, um, no, I think it's time to move on, put it in new hands. Um, I mean, if they wanted to do a new generation of X-Men with the, less recognizable characters, and this was like the older generation of X-Men, that I'd even be super down for. I don't think they will from a marketing standpoint. I don't think that's what they'll do, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
there's
think
just
that
so many
that's
moving pieces that are
yeah.
there that we'll have to figure out. And I don't know. Yeah, I think I'll wait till Deadpool 3, I think. And we'll see what happens with Logan there, and what we get. But as far as this project
Yeah.
is concerned, we are in
This is
a very good place with the X-Men movies right now.
mm,
Very, very
love Days of
nice.
Future Past. I fucking loved this movie, man, and it's crazy. It's crazy that this is in the top 3, and it will be for the next day.
The whole day it'll stay up there. Yeah, I
Got
mean,
Guardians of the Galaxy on Friday, baby, and I'll spoil that.
oops.
It's gonna be above this. I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that one's gonna be tough to beat. Um,
Yeah, like everything's
Man,
in danger.
we're going on a very good run right here.
Mm,
Guardians, it's another all-timer for the both of us.
yes.
We got Age of Ultron coming up after that. Not the greatest movie that there is in the MCU, but for me, I'll be
I know that's gonna rise for
loving
you. I know that's gonna
to
rise for
talk
you.
about that.
Ant-Man will rise for me, and, that's the
I
we're
think
gonna flip there,
I've always loved me some Ant-Man. I don't know. I think I'm like this is a great era. Yeah, this is
we're
just
in a
a
strong we're in
very,
a strong
very good
spot.
era.
We're in a strong
Um,
spot. But yeah,
hey,
what are we rating this? What are we giving this bad boy? We got
well,
enjoyment and critical, and I think enjoyment-wise, I'm up there. Um, I'm going gut 9.25, maybe even 9.5.
I like that. My hidden sheet, I've started to do that.
Mhm.
I just have some of the new enjoyment scores down. And that just blanket, I came around to 925 for days or for Future Pass. That is where I
Days
went.
of Future Past for me, in terms of what we have covered and what we have rated things, 9.25 to 9.5. On a personal note, I would probably go 9 to 9.25. That would probably be about where it would go if we were talking about
Okay.
my personal scale.
Yeah.
You can generally assess them as about at least 0.25 lower generally. Um,
Yeah. And like with the current ratings we have, a 925 is Man of Steel, Big Hero 6, Captain, the first Avenger, and First Class. Those are the 925s we have
I
right
mean,
now.
given that, I would make this a 9.5.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So that I don't know where
How
we,
much we want. I say for now, we weigh it based off of our other ratings as we have them,
mhm.
and whenever we wanna reassess in the future, we can reassess. So, if you are comfortable with a 9.5, given our other ratings, that is where my gut takes me here.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. It does put it on, Iron Man 3, which I can get with. Like it is around there, you have all that history coming in, all an ending to a bunch of movies and stuff. It does put on the same level as Superman, the first
That's the
one
rare
in
one
there.
here where it doesn't go 0.25 down for me based off what we have.
So I think the right now what we do have a 9.5 is fair. I like it much more with above First Class in all those movies. I think that distinction is important. Um, and then if we do a re-ranking here sometime, I think we can get all that squared away. But okay, I think a 9.5 works for now. And then critically, I haven't gotten there yet on my own list, so I'm going
Mm.
in blind here, or I don't have anything to bring up. But
No, I mean it's solid, man. It's good even.
mhm,
I would call it good.
the
It's
effects seamless. Like there was.
unbelievably good performances.
Mhm.
Um, I like I said, it's not over bloated and it had every opportunity to be, which means the editing is really sound and the writing is really sound. The character work is really strong. I my gut takes me to an 8.
Hmm. That's where eight or the other X-Men movies are. We have X2 and First Class, right at an 8.
I
Um,
think that would be fair. I don't know how much better I would say this movie is than those. I
let's
can say that I like them more.
yeah.
Uh,
I'd say if I had to say which one is made the best, I would say this one. Just because of how
Probably.
what they did succeed with and how over the top they could have gone, but I like that they kept it simpler. But yeah, to actually say it is better or like for sure, I don't know if I can. Um,
Yeah, like when it comes to First Class, I would argue the performances are outdoing this movie. I would say the visual effects are outdoing the First Class here. Like I would say that the visuals are outdoing First Class here. Um, I would say the score is outdoing Days of Future Past in First Class. Like there's a lot of balance there. So I think that 8 coming to the same spot is pretty comfortable.
okay. Then if we do that, we will average out to an 8.5 even, which ties The Mask of Phantasm, and
All
barely
right.
above First Class and Cap, the first Avenger. It is the very bottom of the fuck yes tier. So another one is added in there.
Another one.
Another one, yeah. So
Another
it
one.
will be in seventh place, tied for, or I guess there's probably some other ties before that, but it's 7 and 8 with Mask of Phantasm. So
All right. All
I think
right. Love that. But yeah, with that, we will conclude this episode of the Penny Bloom podcast. If you would, head to patreon.com/pennybloom where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, including all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. For $3 a month, you can support this podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. Head to Twitter, follow at Penny Bloom Pod, follow on Instagram at Penny Bloom Podcast, follow on TikTok at Penny Bloom Podcast. I've been working hard as hell to get daily TikTok content over there. Joe's been helping me out, and I've been working hard on that. And it's a lot of fun. I have a great time. So if you could throw us a follow, that'd be great. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and throw us a like and subscribe. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. And if that's your thing, if you didn't know we have video, go to YouTube. We're over there now. You can watch the podcast instead of just listening. Um, you'd see that I have this wonderful Dexter's Laboratory Patrick Mahomes shirt on right now that says stunt on these hoes. Um,
mm-hmm.
and I just want to say we're recording this in advance of the Super Bowl, so that could either be me unabashedly standing by my boys in Kansas City who have unfortunately lost the Super Bowl, or I could be stunning on these hoes right now and saying, fuck you, 49ers, we did that shit. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so either way, I'll be happy if we win. I don't really give a shit if we lose. Um, I don't have that. These dudes are getting paid to play a game. I don't give a fuck. Um,
We've had a couple already,
we're
so
doing good. It's been a good decade to be a Kansas Cityan and a sports fan. You know, in 2014 we went to the World Series with the Royals. 2015 we win the World Series with the Royals. Now we've been to like 4 out of the last 6 Super Bowls.
yeah, we have the greatest quarterback there is in the
Yeah, we're
league.
doing fine in Kansas City. You know,
Mhm.
it's good. I hope there are a lot of sports fans listening when I say this. I could take or leave another Super Bowl. Um,
Mhm.
just wanted to stun on these hoes real quick.
Yeah, we can say that. Not many people
Kansas
can.
City's living good, baby. I don't give a fuck. So, like I said, we are recording ahead of the Super Bowl. I want to make that clear. I'm not trying to be like, fuck you, da 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 da. I actually don't care that much.
Mhm.
But I did want to show some Kansas City pride. I love my city. If I don't have that much stake in our sports teams.
Yeah.
And yeah, so follow on all those places. Leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening, and be sure to download. January was an excellent month, and I'm sure we're well on our way to February being another excellent one. Uh, we did a lot of good work in January. We didn't quite hit my monthly goal as far as what the year-long goal I want it to be. You know, we got to do some heavy lifting in February. So if you wouldn't mind making up the ground lost in January, I would appreciate that greatly. Regardless, we're going to do this no matter how many people are listening. We love doing it. But it's nice to know that people are listening. So, yeah. With that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And just because someone stumbles and loses their path doesn't mean they're lost forever.